perspective, Ziggy Ansah was out this week. Jaron Reed was finally back, but he looked awful. I need a couple of weeks to round into shape and knock off some of the rust. Hopefully we get the pass rush going, because that was fairly non-existent for the Seahawks as well. And anytime you did get a push, Lamar Jackson just took off like a bolt of lightning. The offensive game plan, I don't know if it specifically featured him or if this was just the way Russ was going. A lot of DK Metcalf, and he didn't have a good game, unfortunately. The coverage was really tight. The referee let, on both sides, the corners play pretty physical. I think that contributed a lot to the game flow as well. And DK Metcalf just couldn't, for whatever reason, he just couldn't beat man cover. And that's basically what the Ravens played all day. So a couple of questions coming out of this game, both offensively and defensively for the Seahawks. It's a good team. It's not a horrible loss. You're not going to give up two offensive, or two. Your offense isn't going to give up points to the other team that often with this one. These conditions won't always be this way. So I'm not mode. It just makes me mad because, Jimmy Garoppolo's engineered exactly 0 touchdowns and his team is still undefeated. So, freaking NFC West, man.
Hey, but at least the Redskins covered the spread and they didn't even score.
At least you got that going for you. Man, to play in a division where where the second place team only has 2 wins, but alas, that's not how the NFC West rolls. So, Don, congratulations on the win. I think you got a really good team there. I hope that Lamar Jackson continues to develop, because he could be a really exciting player going forward. And with that, I'm going to drown my sorrows.
All right.
Thanks.
All right, thank you. Me? No, I'm not even sure. I'm recording this ahead of time, so who knows who sent it back to me? Smoke and mirrors, everybody. Smoke and mirrors. All right. I don't have my normal tag team partner with me today, flying solo on this recap. So this recap show probably going to be a lot quicker. I don't have James. James has some family time today, but I'm sure he'll be back with us next week. So going to do some quick recaps of some of these games, starting with Packers and the Raiders. Well, the Packers they're flowing, guys, right now. They're 6-1. I've been kind of wondering about them, are they, aren't they? I think they are, for sure. Aaron Rodgers has a fantastic day today, 429 yards and 5 touchdowns, so congratulations to you if you started him in fantasy today. I'm sure if you had him, you did. Raiders weren't horrible. Obviously, they lost pretty badly, but let's see what we got here for their action. We got David Carr, and then Glennon had to come in there. He tosses a touchdown. David Carr, 22 of 28, 293 yards and 2 touchdowns and a pick. Jacobs there, 124 yards, so nice day for him. But the Packers are rolling. They're looking great. They're 6-1. One of the best teams in the NFC for sure. Hopefully they can get it done beyond this and get into the playoffs and make some noise. Everybody who's not a Patriots fan is just waiting for anybody to be able to beat the Patriots, whether that's in the playoffs, obviously the Packers can, or the Super Bowl. So we're all kind of, all of us non-Patriots fans are sitting there hoping, well, will this be the team? Are they going to be good enough? Are the Saints going to be good enough? You're wondering who's going to be the team, if anybody, to challenge the Patriots this year, even if it means in the Super Bowl. And maybe the Packers are on their way. Seems to be clicking a little better with Rodgers and LaFleur. I think they may have something going now. I don't think their defense is quite as good as it looked like it was at the beginning of the season, but we'll see. I think it's good enough when you have offense kicking like that, for sure. All right. Moving on. We're going to be moving through these real fast, guys. It's going to be a real quick recap show today. All right, we got the Rams and the Falcons. The Falcons, they're just bad. What are we going to say? I know we've spent a lot of time on this show talking about the Falcons with Mr. Jenkins, our Falcons super fan. He's been popping on the last few weeks and just telling us how horrible they are. They simply are horrible. Rams get back on track as we thought maybe they would with this game here. So Rams win 37-10. Goff, 22 of 37, 268 yards and 2 touchdowns. Gurley, 18 carries, 41 yards, and I believe, caught a score as well. Thought I saw that highlight there. Caught a score as well. One 13-yard catch for a touchdown. So at least good to see him out there and playing. I know he's not the Gurley that Rams fans thought they were getting when he signed that big deal, and they're having to bring in some other, like Henderson, get Henderson in there, etc. They're having to kind of limit Gurley's work. 18 carries, that's probably about the max you'll see him do, I believe, in most games, and until maybe the playoffs. If they can save him for the playoffs, that would be great, because he is valuable to them, but he's just valuable to them in small spurts. Falcons are 1-6. They're going the wrong way. I mean, I don't know if the Falcons are in draft a quarterback territory or not. We're going to see. I think Matt Ryan still has a lot of life yet. Let's see. Today he was 16-27, 159 yards and a pick, so not his best game, but coming into this game, he had actually played very well, even though they were doing poorly. All right, on to the next game, the Niners and Redskins, in an ugly, nasty weather bowl, rainy, ugly game. San Fran wins 9-0. They're 6-0. I still feel like it's a little bit of an empty 6-0, but I mean, they're 6-0. What can we say? They're the only other undefeated team besides the Patriots. We got to give them credit. And the Redskins, of course, 1-6. Their only win coming to the lowly Dolphins, my stinky team, but who actually played pretty well today. But we'll get to that game in a bit. Garoppolo not so hot today, but it was ugly. It was just an ugly game. 12 of 21, 151 yards and an interception. I think he had like 13 yards at the half, so they got the ball going a little bit more in the second half. Not much. Coleman for the 49ers there, 62 yards. On the Redskins side, you had Case Keenum, 9 for 12 for 77 yards. Eek. And Adrian Peterson, they gave him the ball a lot, 20 carries, 81 yards. But there's just nothing much that anyone can do. No touchdowns in this game from either team. Just an ugly weather game. San Fran, the better team, obviously. They sneak it out. They do what they need to do. By the end of the season, a win is a win. There aren't ugly wins. Well, there are ugly wins and good wins. But when your record stands at the end of the season, it's just a win or a loss. All right, we're getting to a really good game here. The Texans and the Colts. And the Texans have been a team on the rise lately, looking like they were clicking, but they lose this one to a really good Colts team. Another team on the rise. Colts are 4-2, Texans 4-3. So they're both fighting for that AFC South right now. Bottom line, they're fighting for the AFC South. That's a fairly tough division. You saw the Titans grab a win today, go to 3-4. You got Jacksonville 3-4. You got Texans 4-3. You got Colts 4-2. That's a really tough division. Who knows what's going to happen there? But Jacoby Brissett, he had himself a day. 26 of 39, 326 yards, 4 touchdowns, and I needed it too. I picked him up for my fantasy team, and he did me proud. He did me real proud. I got lucky there. Mac, 18 carries, 44 yards. So the run game wasn't very effective against the Texans, but they definitely got it done in the passing game for sure. Watson, 23 of 34, 308 yards, a touchdown, and 2 picks, so not as effective as he's been in recent weeks. And the run game again. It's just Carlos Hyde, 12 carries, 35 yards. Duke Johnson, 7 carries, 34 yards. They're just not effective in the run game. Obviously, losing Lamar Miller hurt them. I'm surprised they haven't made some kind of trade to try and get a running back beyond Hyde. I mean, yeah, I know they traded for Hyde, but Carlos Hyde's not really all that good. I was surprised they didn't go for something a little bit more bigger prize, or perhaps when they did that trade with the Dolphins, maybe convince them to throw Drake in there. I was surprised they took Stills instead. They instead of trying to get Drake, since they just lost Lamar Miller, they went ahead and took Stills when they have a ton of wide receivers. I'm wondering if that was a bit of a mistake for them. But I guess we're going to see as the season goes on. They're still a very good team. Deshaun Watson's still an excellent quarterback, and Jacoby Brissett showing that Andrew Luck, really right now. I mean, he's been fantastic. The team has been good, so they continue to roll at 4-2. Really good team. All right, next game, Vikings at Lions, and Vikings on a roll. I know a lot of people were saying that they were the best 52-man roster in the NFL, minus Kirk Cousins. But Kirk Cousins has been getting it done lately. He definitely got it done today. 337 yards, 4 touchdowns, no picks. He did well, and then Dalvin Cook goes in there, 25 carries, 142 yards, 2 touchdowns. I mean, they were looking like one of the best offenses in the NFL against a good Lions team. Yeah, the Lions 2-3-1, but I don't think anybody thinks they're a bad team. I think a lot of people just a few weeks ago were trying to tell me that the Lions were the best team in that division. No, I definitely don't believe that. You got the Packers, obviously you got the Vikings, you got the Lions, you got the Bears, but the Bears are kind of reeling right now since their quarterback lost, and now their defense isn't even looking as good. We'll get into that in a bit. But the Vikings are looking serious, man. The NFC has a lot of good teams. Not the AFC, not as I was going to say not as many. The AFC is not nearly as strong as the NFC this year. NFC just seems to have the stronger teams to me, I believe. But we're going to see as the season goes on. Some teams are going to look stronger. Some teams are going to kind of come down off that pedestal a little. Maybe it'll even out between the conferences. But it was a good game here, good game for Cousins. You like that, right? You like that. I'm not going to scream into the mic, guys, but you know what I'm talking about. Cousins loves to prove people wrong when everybody say he sucks. If people tell him that he sucks and he hears that, he always responds so well to that. So he's been responding the last few weeks for sure. All right, moving on to the next game. The Jags beat the Bengals, and this one hurt me a little bit as a Dolphins fan. The Bengals are the only other completely defeated team. Obviously, you know I'm a fan of the tanking, that is of Miami Dolphins, trying to get that number 1 overall pick, trying to get Tua, even though I know Tua has some ankle injury issues right now. Maybe people are thinking that's not the most, that's not the best thing for us. But anyway, I'm still thinking that's the angle I'd like to go, but Bengals are in that fight too. They're also totally defeated. I thought this might be the game they pull out. They were leading most of it, but Jaguars come back. Bengals are 0-7. Gardner Minshew, another Minshew-type game, 15 of 32, not great there. 255 yards and a touchdown, but they get it done. Fournette, big day, 131 yards on the ground. Minshew actually throwing in 48 yards to the run and a little bit with him as well. They're just a team that I feel like they'd be better with Foles over Minshew, but Minshew's showing that he's a viable backup and can get them some wins. I don't see the Jaguars as a playoff team this year. I'm not even sure if they were a playoff team with Foles either. I'm not saying they weren't, but I wish to see that defense just play the way it used to. It just doesn't anymore. And the Bengals, you know my feelings on the Bengals, or more specifically Zach Taylor. I don't believe he's an NFL coach. I don't know that he'll make it past this year. Probably not. They're 0-7, as I said, and not doing so hot. Dolphins, if you're wondering, the Dolphins and the Bengals do play eventually. So somebody has to win a game unless, of course, they tie. All right, moving on to the next game. We've got Cardinals at Giants. Just one of those games. Cardinals 3-3, though. I mean, for a while they didn't have any wins. They had that tie at the beginning of the season, and it was looking like, oh boy, bad season for them. Well, they're 3-1. I mean, that's not bad. You got to consider they got a rookie quarterback, Kyler Murray. Now, Kyler Murray wasn't so hot in the air today. 14 of 21 for 104 yards, 10 carries for 28 yards. So they're trying to run him, but not with a lot of great success today. But here's the surprise: is Edmunds. Chase Edmunds. Wow, what a day. I'm not sure exactly what is going on with David Johnson. And a funny story, I actually started Chase Edmunds in fantasy. Now, this is not because I'm the smartest person in the world. This is because I was completely desperate. I picked this guy up a couple weeks ago because I always like to look for those running backs that, even though the team has a good running back, and maybe that running back doesn't seem to have any injuries, and there's really no reason why that running back shouldn't be the guy. But then all of a sudden you see a team giving this other guy carries. And you're like, why? Why is this one guy getting carries? It doesn't really make sense. It's not an injury situation. He's a good running back. Why is this other guy getting those carries? Whenever I see that, I like to grab those guys. To me, that means that team sees something. So I always try and grab those guys when I can. And this was one of those cases where, and every now and then you get lucky. This is one of those cases where I got super lucky. Just happened to throw him in out of pure desperation. Had nothing else I could